Well, it's Friday, September 27. I just got back from coffee with my good buddy Steve and his wife Maggie. Kevin's in Boston area doing a favor for a friend. I'm here in the garage now, just came in. And this is the disaster area that I walked away from last night. I just got so hot. It was like 110 degrees. I'd worked hard and I was so wiped that I just did a walk away. I very seldom ever do a walk away. I always have every tool back where it belongs and the whole place cleaned up and organized. Not so much yesterday. I went inside, sat down, and the next thing I know it was 6 o'clock because I fell asleep and watched TV for about an hour and a half, fell asleep again, went to bed, and woke up this morning finally refreshed. So, I mean, the heat just got to me yesterday, and I love Arizona, and I like the heat. But 110, that's tough. Today it's supposed to make 115, and I'm trying to get as many hours in this morning before it starts to get too hot. Then it should cool off, they say, to merely 110 or 105 by the end of the middle of the next week. That's what we call cooling off. Anyway. So the bike is here. Last night or yesterday, I did take the magnetic plug out of the bottom. I got no metal on it, no fractures, no pieces of the lost or missing clip. I stuck a probe up inside and tried to see if there's anything laying there that might resemble the clip, and it wasn't. I couldn't do it. There's nothing up in there that I could see. It could very well be up there, or it could very well not be up there. So there's no fractured pieces on the magnetic plug, so I cleaned it up and put it back. So that's the good news. I also have to learn to stop smacking my lips when I make these things. It bothers me. It must bother you. I'm going to try to stop that. So anyway, the bike looks good. I mean, seriously good. I got sidetracked on 2 or 3 different little projects yesterday. I didn't get to the first start. I think the bike is really close to being ready for its first start. I'm hoping to get a first start today. So here it is, and it's 8:45. I'm just getting started, and let's see if we can't make this sucker go bang, pop, 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 pop today and see what happens. Okay, it's not quite 10 o'clock, and I'm still here working on a conundrum. What is it, thrown on the horns of a dilemma? I really want to start the bike. I mean, I really do. I think all I have to do to start the bike is drop the tank on it, make some gas lines, put some gas in it. It should be ready to run. On the other hand, I say to myself, well, Frank, first of all, I should turn it around. I like to have the exhaust facing out when I start these bikes, have the front end clamped. And I say to myself, well, if you turn it around now, you still got to put the hydraulic lines, these new hydraulic lines, onto the front brake and bleed them and get them working. So you really should do that first. But I really want to start the bike. And then I say to myself, you know, Frank, you really should put some oil into the engine, which I did. I just got finished injecting 6 ounces of oil into this rocker box down into the, you got to get it all the way back here so that it doesn't surge forward. So I just put 6 ounces of oil into here so that the crank has 6 ounces of oil in it when it starts, so it has some oil to splash around and, you know, get into the pump and all that stuff. So I'm going to close that up. But so I said to myself, I should put some oil in the crankshaft before you start it. So I did. Now I say to myself, you know, you really should double check the valves. You don't know what the last guy did, but in order to check the valves, I need to turn the motor over, and to turn the motor over, I got to turn the bike around because I closed up the primary. And you can't do it with a Kickstarter, really. You just can't hit that right spot with the Kickstarter. So I need to turn the bike around in order to check the valve clearances. So I don't think I'm going to start the bike right now. I'm going to turn the bike around. I'm going to turn the bike around and set the valves, and then maybe start the engine, and then do the rear brakes, because the rear brakes need to be bled or flow fluid, because even though the master cylinder worked on the bench, it's not working here. So I can put, if I turn the bike around, I can finish the rear brakes and maybe start the engine. and then turn the bike around again and install the front brakes and bleed them. Choices, decisions, choices. I think I'm going to go ahead and turn the bike around and check the valve clearances and then put the tank on it and see if I can do a first start. Then I'll think about working on the front and rear brakes. Now, in the meantime, we've had a little bit of progress here. I got the new flasher for the LED turn signals. Turn on the ignition and go to left. And I got nothing. Oh, come on. This is getting me upset. Ignition's on. Oh, that's ignition. Never mind. Turn signals are over here. Let's use them. Okay, so I got flashing turn signals now. Good. Let's go back and turn on the righty tighties. And we've got flashing turn signals, nice and bright with those LED lights. Okay. And am I supposed to have that on? Okay. And the fun just never stops. I swear to God, this worked a little while ago. I've got to go back into the headlight. Ah, sigh. I had the headlight open. Got to go back in there. Rats. Okay, so anyway, we got the flasher that works. Now, one thing is we can't have the turn signal light working with these LEDs, because as soon as you hook it up the old way, with both going to the light, you get 4 turn signals flashing. We also have, at this point in time, a horn. Let's see if I can do that successfully. Good, so I got a horn. I mounted the horn here in between the front forks. It looks really nice. And I'm going to, at this point in time, figure out how come I lost that turn signal in the back, which means opening the headlight again. Turn the bike around, double check the valve clearances, drop the tank on, and see if I can't get a first start. Do that before it gets too hot. So here we go. Okay, let's talk about valves for a moment and adjusting valves. The valves don't wear at the top of the valve where they get beaten up by the rocker arm. That's not where they wear. Not really. Where they wear is in the valve seat, especially if you have freshly ground valve seats with a brand new freshly ground valve matching it. They go in there and they just feel so good, but when they start pounding up and down, the valve settles into the seat, and that's why valves tend to tighten up with age, not get loose. You'd expect them to get loose with age, but they really tighten up with age. So for that reason, I usually set valves to whatever they're supposed to be, 2 and 4 on Triumphs, 6 and 8 on Norton Commandos, but I use what I refer to as a sloppy setting. I want a nice loose 6 and a nice loose 8 because I know the valves are going to tighten up. So on this particular bike right here, right now, I have it set to top dead center, and Norton would have been so easy to give us a top dead center on the timing gauge down here in the primary, but they didn't. And they didn't give us a plug like Triumph uses, and they didn't give us a plug like BSA uses, and we have to do it by hand or open the primary and put a degree wheel on the alternator, which I wish I had done. I'm sort of wishing that I hadn't closed up the primary for that reason, plus the reason that I'm not getting a lot of snapback. Well, let me show you on the shifter when I'm changing gears. It's not snapping back. It's tight. It's in 4th gear now. Now it's in 3rd gear, but you see it's not snapping back. And I don't know why. So, because I remember turning that gear in there with the pliers, and it seemed like it was just loose as a goose. So I'm worried about this transition from here to here. I may be taking this off. I could probably take it off and put a degree wheel on it right now. I won't, because I'm going to finish these valves up. And the way I do it is with a top dead center tool that I built probably 20 some odd years ago. I'll show it to you. It's an old spark plug that I beat the heck out of, broke out all the porcelain. And let's see if I'm holding this so you can see it. Okay. It's a spark plug, everything taken out of the center, tube put across at an angle, like so. So when the plug is in, the sensor is pretty much vertical, okay? Like so. And I use this for checking top dead center. I built this back when I was just starting the business, didn't have a lot of extra money, needed the top dead center tool, so I made one. Been using it ever since. It's actually nicer, better than all the professional ones that I've bought over the years and put into the bottom of my toolkit over there, and that's where they lay. I like this one. So right like that, everything's at an angle, and this guy's going in pretty much vertically. Setting top dead center with him is a matter of bouncing the heads down. Right about there, it's going back down. That's your crest. Right about there, your top dead center. I mean, within a billionth of an inch. Okay, now, 6, 8, okay? This one happens to be what I prefer, which is a sloppy 6. I can slide that in there nicely, and I can move it just a little bit. I don't know if you can see the gauge moving just a little bit. That's probably about a 6, possibly a 7. The 8, on the other hand, it won't go in here. It's a very tight 8. So I'm going to loosen this one up and get a nice sloppy 8. Okay, let's see what happens when I do it online with you all watching. Now, this happens to be the stock tool that came in the old toolkit that I ground down a lot to make it easier to use. So this is the old oval one that had the 2 ends, just ground down to make it easier. Where'd my 8 go? All right. Okay, now I would call that a nice sloppy 8. Easy in there, rubbing. I like that. Okay? Let's see if I can maintain that while I tighten it. Yeah, I got a nice sloppy 8 there. Just barely moving. Okay, so I'm gonna call that good. 6 and 8. Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's definitely 6, sloppy 6. Oh yeah, sloppy 8. Okay, I'm gonna do the other side. Well, I wasn't going to do the right side on video, but I think I will. I can't get an 8 into here, so that's tight. And all, so that's tight. And back here, this 6, it's actually so sloppy. You can hear that it's sloppy. I can actually get an 8 back here. It's actually a sloppy 8. So I'm going to tighten this one down to a sloppy 6 and loosen this one up to a sloppy 8. So, I mean, really these aren't that bad, but they could be better, so they're going to be better. I marked them because I can no longer read the engraved numbers. Everything in the world seems to be in my way today. All right, that's a nice sloppy 6 right there. All right. That's a...
Never said shit to her about it, but fucking bitched me up and down.
So it's okay.
That's a nice sloppy 6. Oh yeah, that's a 6. Let's do the 8. That nut's been mangled. Yeah, I'm going to stop this for just a second and clean up this adjuster nut. Somebody's used probably a 7/16 wrench on it and just messed it up. So I'm going to take it over there and clean that up a bit. Let's see, can you see that? We'll just clean that. I'll be right back. All right, I cleaned up the edges of that nut. This, by the way, and if you're interested, this is a Whitworth wrench that I ground around the side and in here to get a thinner nut through it, because on Triumphs, it gives you more swing, more adjusting swing. Don't need it on Nortons because these things hang out here in the wind, but it helps a lot on Triumphs. This is set to a sloppy 8. It slides in and out just beautifully. Let's get in here. Like so. Okay, see that? Nice sloppy 8. I'm going to hold it and tighten it down. I think I moved it just a tad bit. There you go. That's a nice sloppy 8. Okay. Oh yeah. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to close this thing up. All right. Still working towards first start. It is now, oh my goodness, just 10 after 11. We've put the carbs on. They're cleaned and they're all adjusted. We just checked the valves and reset them slightly. They probably would have run just fine, but you want to check them because if they're grossly or radically wrong, they could damage themselves. These were not in spec, but they weren't out of spec so far that they would have been a problem. Now, the next thing to do before we actually try to start this motorcycle is check to see if the ignition system is set to the first step setting, which is static setting, which means you set the engine to full advance, which luckily Norton does give us a nice little gauge down here, 28 degrees. So I've moved the engine around to where it is. Let me do a little zoom in here and I'll show you what we see. The timing mark is beautifully nestled right in that 28-degree notch, which they give us, okay? If it doesn't look like it, it's because of parallax, but it is. All right, now we're gonna go to the other side and make sure that the little white dot is in the little hole that Norton's used, because Norton's turn around counterclockwise versus Triumph and BSA, which go clockwise. So Norton turns counterclockwise, which means that that's interesting. See, whoever set this up is using the top mark, the holes up here. I always put this plate in with the holes down here, which I have come to understand. And this is, I can barely see the white mark in there. I'm going to take 2 minutes and reverse this plate so that I'm using the timing marks down here at this area, which I'm more comfortable with. Electronically, it doesn't matter, but I'm more comfortable with the timing marks down here than I am with them up here. So hang on, I'm going to turn this plate around. All right, I'm turning the plate around. These are the white marks that we're looking at, we use for timing. You can use either one. This is a magnetic rotor, either one, doesn't matter. And with the plate in like the way I like it, the Norton BSA hole here has to be right over top of one of those white dots. And if you look through there, you can see the white dot, and it's nicely centered in the adjustment. So yes, this was set up perfectly fine with the holes up here. Remember, this is a dead spark system. It fires both cylinders at the same time, okay? So it doesn't matter if you do it this way or if you do it the other way. I just happen to like and am more comfortable with doing it this way. So I'm going to put that little white dot in the hole right there. Don't forget about parallax. If it doesn't look right, it's just because it doesn't look right. All right, so right about there. And then I'm going to put the bolt in, and we're at a position where the ignition is capable of running the bike. All right, it's installed, white dot, Norton BSA. This is loose, this is tight, this is holding the plate. If when we start it and go to test it, check the timing and adjust the timing, we'll only have to loosen this one to move this just a little bit in order to make the timing perfectly. So That's where we are right now. Let's hang a gas tank and see if we can't get this thing to pop. Okay, the tank is beautiful. I mean, it's got it's been sitting for a long time, so I'll clean that. But I looked inside, and let me see if I can give you a close-up while I shine the light in there. I think this never works. I'm trying to think of some better way can you see that? Let's see if I can force it to focus down there. It's gorgeous. Clean as a whistle, and it actually feels like it might have been lined with a clear lining. It's very smooth. So great. They come in here just rust encrusted and looking horrible a lot. This one's gorgeous. So I'm going to clean it up a little bit, and it actually even has the mounting rubbers underneath. So let's put it on the motorcycle. All right, it's 11:45. I'm really hungry. So I'm going to go in the house and have some lunch. Now in the meantime, I'm working on the tank. The tank's looking good. These rubbers are on the tank. These. I've got some new nuts, and these washers seem to be appropriate for the mounts. I stock these rubbers, so if I have to add any, I think I'm going to have to add one on each side on the outside. And we're getting ready to drop the tank on. Now, in the meantime, back at the ranch, notice the, let me do a zoom in and you can take a look at it. Look at the washer underneath this petcock. It's plastic. I don't know. I'm going to leave it and I'm going to put gas in it and see if it leaks. But if it doesn't hold gas, I've got the stock rubber center washer setups, and I'll just change it out. But that's really kind of neat looking. So we'll see what it does when I install the tank and put some gas in it. So that's where we are. Now right now, tank is looking good. I wiped it down, sprayed it with Windex, wiped it down with a very soft cloth. Then I shined it with some, honest to goodness, real, best in the world, Hardly Ferguson cleaner spray, cleaner and polish, and it looks good. Thank you, Harley Davidson. So anyway, getting ready to drop it on. I'll be back after lunch. Well, let's see what time it is. 1:30. Tank is on. That took some effort. A lot of effort. Gas lines are made. I haven't put the gas in yet. It's still sitting there in the can. Valves are adjusted. Carbs are on. Gas lines are in place. Timing is set to the initial setting properly. We've got ignition. We know that. We got crank. We know that. And we're going to see if it'll run. So let me put some gas in here and press the magic button. All right, gas is in. I put in about maybe a third of a tank, enough to cover both sides. Both petcocks are open. The got a good tickle on both carburetors. No leaks, which is a miracle by itself. It's not dripping any gas. And I'm going to put the fuse in now and hit the button to see what happens. You've seen it here. You're part of this first historic moment. Fuse is in. The bike is live. Ignition on. Good snap. Kill switch in the middle. We have a running bike. turning the idle up just about half a turn. So get a better idle. Let's get a flashlight. I want to see oil return. I want to see oil flow. So this is interesting. We have a running motorcycle. At this point in time, we have a running motorcycle, not blowing any smoke. We need to check the ignition timing with the strobe. I can do that. It's 2 o'clock and it's hot. I might just put that off till tomorrow. So we need to strobe check the ignition and then set the fuel mixture, idle mixture properly. There's no sense in doing it now because the ignition may not be perfect. So you do the ignition first, then you adjust the mixture. But so far so good. I'm going to call it a successful day and call it a day. You'll see this on the YouTube videos in about half an hour. Good day. Key is off, and I never leave fuses in bikes overnight until I fully 100% trust the bike. I'm not there yet. I'm close, but I'm not there yet. All right, it's a good day. Can you believe that? We got a good first start. All right, a tad bit of a postscript. Before I go in and post this, it looks like we're getting close to being finished, and we are, but not really. The rear brakes are assembled, but not bled, and I'm not sure that the rear master cylinder is actually pumping oil. I have to take it apart and take a look at it. So the rear brakes are not operational, even though put together. The front brakes are not even put together. The new brackets and the new hoses are up on my workbench, so I have to do that. Front brake needs to be assembled and bled. Rear brake has to be figured out. Why is it not working? Okay, so that's two big things. The ignition has to be timed with a strobe light, and need to put the side cover on this side, which is no problem. Need to put the side cover on this side, which is a problem because I have to fabricate a latch for it. The stock latch depended on the stock airbox, which is of no more. So that's a small problem. Off the top of my head, that's what needs to be done. I spun the rear wheel when it was up on the jack and realized that this rear chain is a wonderful chain. It's a beautiful chain. It's a really nice heavy-duty chain. It's a monster chain, yes sirree Bob. And that's a problem because these bikes weren't designed to have these nice big heavy-duty chains. There's not enough room inside the chain guard, and they rub and make a lot of noise. When I get it up on the jack stand next time and start working on that rear brake, I'll be spinning the wheel a lot, and I'll see if I can get it to not rub. But if it continues to rub, we will have to buy a standard Reynolds thin wall chain and put it on the bike. This bike was not designed to use a nice big heavy duty chain, of which it currently has on it. Okay, that's one more little thing hanging over our head. Let's see, what else? Oh, the shifter, my goodness, I just don't understand this. This shifter has no flyback at all. I mean, it should pop back, and I'm hoping to goodness there's a problem right in this area in the primary cover, so the cover has to come off and we can find out what's happening with this shifter. I'm hoping that the problem is in here, because I really don't want to go into the transmission unless we absolutely have to. So yea, verily, things are coming together, but in the vernacular, we ain't there yet. So feel good about the fact that the bike is running, feel good that it doesn't blow smoke, feel good that it's a whole motorcycle now, sans seat, which client is still looking for. And yeah, there's still stuff to be done. Wish it was closer to being finished. It's not quite. Now what's going to be interesting is let it sit overnight, having had run. Let's let it sit overnight and see if there are any oil leaks in the morning. Cool. Okay, now I'm going to go post this.